Hey there, everybody. It's me again, Velton Shaw. And yeah, it's that time again. It is Tuesday at 2. And I'm here with your executive think tank or your executive leadership development time frame. So today we're going to take another segment out of the Leadership Dynamics book that I wrote. And we're going to talk a little bit about one of the segments called Team Principles. That's right, team principles. You know, teamwork makes the dream work is something that Zig Ziglar said. And we want to make sure that we don't lose sight of that as a leader at any time. We can only go so far by ourselves. To go the long distance, we need people around us, people that can help us achieve things that we're not capable of doing by ourselves. Sometimes as entrepreneurs, we become that solopreneur and we think that we have what it takes. We've got that secret sauce, or we got the juice to get it done all by ourselves. But I'm here to tell you from experience, I'm here to tell you from observation and talking to other people that getting it done by yourself does not always work. And really, for the most part, it works fewer times than it is successful. So we're going to talk about 4 principles today. We're going to talk about 4 principles that are very important in, number 1, understanding the dynamics of your team. Yeah, leadership dynamics, the dynamics of your team, but you also as the integral part of that team, how your role plays into it, how their role plays against your role, how you bring them together, and what happens at the back on the back end once you formulated the right recipe. Okay, so let's get started. Let's talk first about knowing your strengths. You know, as an individual, a lot of times we have passions. We have things that we're good at. We have things that we like to do. We have things that we've been trained to do. And somewhere in that mixture is our passion. A lot of times it starts with things that we enjoy doing, things that we'll do whether we get paid for it or not, things that we'll do whether we're asked to do them or not, or just things that we gravitate to because we like that, we enjoy that, we get this rush out of it. Those are the things that are innate to our character, innate to our being, and really the essence of our true direction as we move forward. So knowing our strengths is really important. There are things that we're trained to do. You know, I was trained as a salesperson. I became a salesperson and then a director of sales and marketing, and I love the sales process. I love doing it. I love teaching it. I love watching other people as they go through the process and they're successful. And I even like watching them when they're not successful, because there's a lesson in every failure. So as that goes, my training has become a strength of mine because someone took the time to help me develop the skill set necessary to be successful. So again, it became a strength. Things that I like to do, things that I've been trained to do, and things that I just do because that's who I am. Now, the other thing is I love sports. I'm always playing some kind of game, whether it's a soccer game, whether it's a basketball game. Can't play as much as I used to because age has kind of caught up with me. I love to play golf. Those types of things are things that I love to do. And because I love to do them, I've worked tirelessly to get better. Yeah, it's kind of like training, but it wasn't training. I didn't look at it as training because it's a passion. It's something that I love, and it's become a strength to me because I've taken the time to and devoted the time to do better at something that I love. So one of the things I suggest to all of you is to take a piece of paper and think about your nucleus, the world that you exist in from a business perspective, and write down the things about your activities that you love and are good at. What are the things that you love to do? What are the things that you're good at doing? And what are the things that you've been trained to do? And just make yourself a list, because what you're doing is developing a list of the things that we would consider or categorize as your strengths. Because once we understand where our strengths are, the step two, yeah, we're going to step two already. Step two is understanding our limitations. Now, let's flip the script and go the other way. The things that you don't like to do, the things that you just, every time someone says you got to do this, you kind of get that uneasy feeling, or you get that feeling, I really don't want to get involved with that, or you get that feeling that, oh, I got to do this again, or you procrastinate and push it to the back because that's not really something that you like to do. So you don't like to do the things, so you end up not doing them because that becomes one of your limitations. A second part is, what are the things that you don't understand? I'll use myself as an example again, because I want you to think about it internally as it relates to you. I was trained as a sales professional, not a technology person. So technology is not an area that I'm strong. Technology is not an area that I really enjoy participating in. Why? Because there's the fear of failure. Yes, you've heard all of the sayings and all of the quotes that failure is fear of false expectations appearing real. But you know what? Fear is just that. Nobody wants to fail. Everybody wants to be successful. And as they say, if you fail or you fall forward. Failure is, a temporary situation. The only thing that makes it permanent is giving up. Absolutely, I agree with all of those things, but we'll talk about overcoming the limitations. But first we have to identify what they are. What are your limitations? What are the things that, number one, you're not good at doing? Make a list. What are the things that you're not good at? What are the things that you don't like to do? What are things that you have to do in your job that you have never been trained to do because it hasn't been a direct responsibility of yours that needs to get done, but it's not something that you're directly held accountable for. So therefore, it's kind of what I call not a shortcoming, I call it a limitation. Because shortcomings, a lot of times we fear, but limitations we can fix. So we still want to make sure that we fix the things that we identify as our limitations. Team principles is what we're talking about here. We look at ourselves first. So we have to look at who we are, what we like to do, what we don't like to do, what we're good at, what we're not good at, and what we've been trained to do and what we haven't been trained to do. If we're building a business, identifying these things as the entrepreneur, as the president and CEO, as the leader of the organization, once we've identified these things, we can now look at supplementing our limitations with people in our organization who have strengths in areas that we don't. We can also look to complement or supplement our strengths with people who are equally strong in those areas so that we don't always have to touch everything to make it happen. We can just relay the information, delegate the message, and they can make it happen. So what we want to do is look at ourselves first so that we can then determine how to surround ourselves with the right people. Told you I'm into sports. Prime example is I'll use a small team, a basketball team. There's a center, there's two forwards, there are usually and two guards. Why? Because each of them has a different responsibility. You have a point guard who usually brings up the ball. They're the playmaker. They feed everybody else with the ball. You've got the second guard or the shooting guard who is usually responsible for supplementing and helping the point guard bring up the ball, but also setting up or pointing in a specific position to get an open shot, be it a three-pointer or a two-pointer, but they want to be off the ball, making sure they make themselves available for the point guard or anybody else on the team where they can spot up and take a shot. You've got two forwards. The two forwards' responsibilities are primarily rebounding, scoring down low, supporting the guards and the center as the team moves and ebbs and flows up and down the court. Then you have the center, prime rebounder, block out, score, slam dunker, whatever you want to call it. But they all have different roles to make the team function well. So they are not totally oblivious to each other as far as responsibilities and talents, but they have strengths in areas where other people on the team don't, and they supplement and complement each other towards success. Your team is the same way. So the next step in team principles is hiring the right people. And I read a book by Jim Collins called Good to Greatness. It's get the right people on the bus, get the wrong people off the bus. And as a leader, part of your team principles is hiring the right people. So once you've identified your strengths, once you've identified your limitations, you can supplement your strengths and offset your limitations, but also take a look at your long-term and short-term goals and objectives. Structure your team so that the people that you bring on the team and surround yourself have the ability to help you get to your end, help you find the solutions to the issues and areas of opportunity in your team as you successfully move towards the best possible situation for everybody involved. Yes, we want to be successful. Obviously, we want to make a lot of money. We want to grow the team. We want to ensure that we're there for the long haul, and we want to move ever forward in a great, fast, or successful pace. So once we look at that, we have to look at who is the right person for the position. Number one, what positions do I need to fill first? If I'm just starting out, what positions do I need to fill first? Which positions are critical to the success of my team, the longevity of my organization, and achievement of our goals and objectives? Once I identify which positions are first and foremost the most critical, I go about finding the right people to fill those positions. People who have like-minded. They don't have to be robots and agree with me with everything, but they have to have the right aspirations, the right drive, the right mindset, and the chemistry that allows them to work well with others. Chemistry on a team can take you from average to outstanding, or from good to failure if the chemistry's not right. So hiring the right people is critical to the overall success of your team. Number one, the position, because you need to bring on the people that are most critical first. And then secondly, making sure that the chemistry and camaraderie is available for the team to function as a unit, a well-oiled unit. Last but definitely not least, and I touched on this a second ago, but I'm going to touch on it again. Value diversity and difference. I'm going to say it again. You have to value diversity and difference. Difference in ideas, difference in thought process, difference in sometimes lifestyle. Why? Because you are in business to reach a broad audience. The differences in people and the way they live, the way they think, the way they operate allow you to reach people with the same kind of lifestyle they have. So if you don't have a broad cross section of these individuals, you're missing an opportunity to reach people like them, people who speak a different language, people who have a different lifestyle connotation, sexual connotation, I guess is the best way to put it. People who are introverts, people who are extroverts. All of those differences, people that come from different countries, people who are of different ethnic backgrounds. Why? Because they bring that flavor to your organization so that when you start to talk about marketing to those individuals in that area, or you talk about selling to people in that area, getting them excited about your products and services, they have an idea of how to reach them that you may not. So valuing their opinion and their diverse backgrounds is very, very, very important. I coached a soccer team a few years ago, and I had a cross section of young men from different parts of the world. There were young men from Latin America, young men from Jamaica, young men from Haiti, people from the United States, and I even had a young man from Europe. And until they understood that they were all equally talented, and if they played together, they could be successful. But if they broke apart and just stayed in their little niches, they would never win. That understanding took them from being one of the least respected teams in the league to one of the league's top performing teams, and a team that went from losing most games to winning tournaments on a regular basis. It made them feel good about themselves individually. It made them feel good about themselves as a small unit of the people that they were comfortable with, but they began to embrace people that were maybe a little different than them, but equally talented in their own way, and an integral part to the success of the organization. Organizations of any kind have to have a cross section of ideology, a cross section of thought, a cross section of people with different backgrounds but like ideas to achieve like attainments. So you want to make sure that you diversify your organization in every way possible to your advantage. So here we go. Number one, understand your strengths. Number two, understand your limitations. Number three, hire the right people. Get the right people on the bus, get the wrong people off the bus. And last but definitely not least, value difference and diversity. These four principles in team concept and team construction will take you to a new level and allow you as a leader to take advantage of all of the resources available to you that will lead to your success. Again, I'm Velton Shaw. It's Tuesday at 2. Join us next time as we bring in a executive from a major organization to talk to you. And in the future, you'll hear more concepts from Leadership Dynamics, 52 principles that every successful leader understands. Again, I'm Velton Shaw. That's my time. Have a great day.